First story in Creepshow is called Father's Day, and in it, Vivica Linfors uses a marble ashtray as a murder weapon. The fact is that that ashtray became one of our pet props, and we wound up featuring it in every one of the other stories in the movie, so it's kind of fun to look for it. It's very hard to spot, but it's there.
And now, Creepshow, one of the new classics on TNT.
Now we're going to see the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill. Jordy's a character, I think, close to Steve's heart and mine. I mean, he's a poor guy just trying to get through. And all of a sudden, a meteor lands in his backyard. The first shot that you're going to see, I'll never forget. We were standing there, and of course, there was no meteor. That's an optical effect, a thing that was put in later. And Steve had to come running down that hill, I don't know how many times, because his head was either hitting the sky where the optical was going to be, or something was wrong with the shot. And then a lot of that was a matte painting as well. So that was one of those shots where it was just Steve and us in a little piece of woodland, and all the rest of that stuff is fake. The next story is called Something to Tide You Over. We shot the film largely in Pittsburgh. We went to the Jersey Shore for 3 or 4 days just to shoot the scenes at the actual ocean. None of this stuff that you're going to see there is real. Leslie's house, which seems so real, and it seems like such a real location, doesn't exist. When you see the wide shots of it, it's a matte painting. When he's standing on his porch looking out, it's just a little piece of railing that we used. And of course, the inside rooms, the bedroom and the bathroom and so forth, are sets. So that place is a completely non-existent place. I think it's a really ingenious, the designer, Cletus Anderson, was very ingeniously figured out a way to just break this up into a lot of little pieces and make it seem like a real place. Even though we were shooting at the beach, right at the ocean, we couldn't really bury a person in the sand and have real waves come in and hit him in the face because it would be dangerous. So, okay, we had to dig a hole in the sand, and we put a chair down there for Ted Danson to sit on, and built a costume which involved like a turtleneck that went around his neck and covered that with sand and blended that in with the real beach. And then we couldn't use the real waves because they could be dangerous and they're unpredictable. So we had to build this wave machine which would pump ocean water up out of the ocean and wash it in the amounts that we needed to create the effect that we wanted. One of the scenes that we thought was going to be very simple, you go to the beach, you dig a hole, you have the water, was the most complicated thing that we had to do production-wise. The next story is called The Crate, and this was a previously published short story that Stephen King had written a few years before, and I had read it, and I was just delighted when he decided to include it as one of the stories for Creepshow.
Something shiny. It looks like a couple of emeralds.
As far as the significance of the monster in the crate, I don't know whether it represents, Steve's grandfather or his kid or who it's supposed to be. I think it's a monster in the crate. It's something that came from Antarctica and was shipped to this university, and it's all chance. As I watched this film with audiences in theaters, maybe it had to do with the volume of the soundtrack, but there's a scene where Hal is coming over to the place under the steps and he bumps a mop and the mop hits the wall and there's this loud crack. And that was the biggest jump in this whole movie. I mean, after everything that we tried to scare people, that was the biggest jump that we ever got in theaters, was that mop. The fellow that did the effects for this film, Tom Savini, most of these mechanical effects people have their own formula for blood, and this was Tom Savini's special formula. I actually have to tell you that I don't know exactly what's in it, but people try to get blood that looks the right consistency and the right color and so forth. We wanted it to be a little redder, and we wanted it to be a little more comic book and not quite so it wouldn't be quite as nasty. I still feel that the nastiest looking blood is in black and white. I mean, the blood on Marlon Brando and On the Waterfront is the most realistic blood I've ever seen. But we tried to go even a little redder here so that it wouldn't be maybe quite as traumatizing, because there's an awful lot of blood on that floor. The last story, I think, maybe is the most remembered of the stories in Creepshow because of the roaches. We literally had hundreds of thousands of roaches on the set, and it was not a very nice experience at all. E.g., particularly this, gentleman hanging around in a robe with roaches crawling all over him. Again, but he never broke. I mean, he was right there. He played the role to the hilt. The roaches that are actually on E.G. they actually would give him a little dose of, I don't know, CO2 or something to make them a little slower and calm them down. Otherwise, they would have been gone too, like the rest of them. We had to build the set so that it was completely enclosed, or else these things would escape. And the only thing the Wranglers could do is promise us that the roaches would be on the set, and they'd bring them in literally in these big trash barrels and just dump them out. And I want to tell you that when they would dump a barrel full of roaches in the center of this room, and within 30 seconds you couldn't see one. And this is a sealed room. And we would open the telephones, open the computer, and there would be this telephone shape underneath the shell of the phone that was just nothing but roaches. And the same with the computer. I mean, they would find places to hide. You never knew where they were. And I'm sure there are still some of them out there where we shot the film. I apologize to the citizens of that community.